Okay, so here we are back again for the second game of the Game Castle 50-point Steamroller Tournament. Um, Here I am using my other circle list. This is actually pKreuger. Um, Ended up playing against Skorne in a very beast-heavy pMorghoul list. So onto what I ended up taking. I got a full unit of Blood Trackers with Nuala. There's a Gallows Grove kind of mixed in between them. 2 units of Shifting Stones. Neither of them have the UA. A full unit of Druids with the Overseer. And in my normal deployment, a Wold Guardian, Wold Warden, and a Feral Warpwolf. And pKreuger is behind them. So on to my opponent. Oh, and real quick before that, the scenario is Into the Breach. So there's a large center zone, kind of along the middle lines to the left. If you control it, you get 1 control point. If you dominate it, you get 2 control points. And there's a flag that if you dominate only, you get a control point. So onto my opponent with his Skorne list. Again, he is running pMorghoul. He has Mullet Karn in that front line, who you can see with the prey target for the Blood Trackers. A Bronzeback Titan, a Archidon. pMorghoul's kind of right next to the Archidon and next to the Titan Gladiator. There is a Basilisk Kreia and a Basilisk Drake. And in the back lines, there is a prime, or not a prime, kind of an unprimed, just pewter-only Willbreaker. There is a unit of Beast Handlers, another Willbreaker, and a second unit of Beast Handlers that are kind of rounding them out. Also, I don't know if I said so, but in between the Bronzeback and the Archidon, there is a Cyclops Brute as well. So on to Circle turn 1. Blood Trackers just ran up, trying to get some, hopefully some turn 2 javelin thrown weapons into Mullet Karn if he decides to advance. Gallows Grove kind of moves up, hanging in for stealth from the woods. Beasts kind of move up, getting ready for if those Shifting Stones need to teleport either one of them over. I believe I have Lightning Tendrils on the Feral right now, just in case. The Druids just kind of walked up and vortexed. I couldn't tell you why they didn't just run. Probably because of the fact that I just bought those rings that morning in preparation for the tournament. I really wanted to use them. So it's kind of like, God damn it, I bought these things. I'm fucking using them. So I did. And the Wold Wardens just kind of tagging along with the Druids. And Kruger moved up with Skyborn and Deflection on himself into the other unit of Shifting Stones. I really didn't need Deflection up here at all. Really, his only range attack that he has is the Basilisk Drake. And especially for the first turn, there's no way it was going to be within range. But I don't know. It's just some of the little things that I end up doing. So, on to Skorne turn 1. As you can see here, not a lot happened. There was a lot of shuffling, kind of some slow advances, and he just ran the Archidon into the middle of my Blood Trackers. I couldn't tell you why. He just decided to do this. I figured maybe he wanted to tie up the Blood Trackers as much as he could before they started throwing into his beasts. But yeah, it was. I was really confused. But hey, what are you gonna do? Sometimes people have their own plans and can't always figure them out. But so on to Circle turn 2. I believe he also put like kind of the standard like admonition. I think was on the Bronzeback, just in case if I ended up going near it, he got an extra movement out of it. Kind of some of the more typical Skorne buffs that you would see on them as well. But the Arcanine just kind of riled up and ran in, and that was really it. So it was just kind of an odd thing. But anyways, so on to Circle turn 2. Just a little bit of a note here. The end of the turn was not how I originally planned on how I thought it would go. If you look at the positioning of the Bronzeback and the Morghoul, I noticed that if I put the Gallows Grove where it was, still without the blood trackers moving, there was a nice little spot where I could move the Gallows Grove into. I thought I had the range for the 10-inch range so I could cast Tornado through the Gallows Grove, hitting the Bronzeback, throwing the Bronzeback through Morghoul and possibly the Cyclops Brute, knocking all of them down, and then it was just a simple matter of walking up 2 or 3 blood trackers, into thrown shooting range for Prime Morghoul, and then taking them out turn 2. We called the organizer over just to make sure that the 10-inch range for the Tornado spell would be in or not, because we knew it was going to be close, and I ended up being about a millimeter short. So sadly, a turn 2 caster kill was denied by a fraction of an inch. So I had to kind of play for real. So basically, I moved the Wold Warden, put Lightning Tendrils onto the Wold Guardian. The Wold Guardian just beat down the Arcanine, and thus freeing up the blood trackers. So I kind of moved them backwards a bit. I didn't want to just give him some easy targets. I kept the Feral in one unit of Shifting Stones just in case, so I'd have some extra flexibility when I might need them. The Druid Overseer, realizing that I wasn't going to need elemental protection at all, threw a Devouring at the Will Breaker that was hanging out in those back right-hand woods, and ended up killing him in one shot. So that was really nice. So all the rest of the Druids just kind of threw up clouds, and the leader was doing his counter magic dance that he does. Yeah, so that was really it for my turn. Kruger's just kind of hanging out in the back with some Shifting Stones with 3 transfers just in case something weird happens. You always think you're out of range for Mullet Karn, and then all something crazy happens, and you end up getting killed from like 20 inches away. So figured better safe than sorry. So on to Skorne turn 2. This time, kind of something very similar to what he did last time. Advancing up a little bit and setting up 1 heavy beast to try to do what it can. This time he combined it with the Will Breaker to be able to destroy my Wold Guardian. And it was all the usual Skorne tricks. The strength buff from the Beast Handlers, abuse from Morghoul, rush from the Gladiator, the whole kind of Skorne, the Skorne Holy Trinity for having your War Beast being able to kill anything it wants. So it ended up killing the Wold Guardian and my Gallows Grove, which I was very sad about. But other than that, he just kind of did some shifting. The Basilisk Drake ended up spraying 1 Druid to death. But aside from that, he really didn't do a whole lot. It was a lot of pondering and hemming and hawing, deciding what he was going to do. But he ended up just sending out the Bronzeback. So on to Circle's next turn. And this was the beginning of my 3rd turn. So now the zones can start to get scored in. So I saw the opportunity to take it, so I obliged. As you can see, the blood trackers kind of moved into 2 groups. The one on the left kind of used the least amount that they could into the into the Will Breaker, and then after we killed him, the rest of the Blood Trackers all kind of went into the Bronzeback, and the Feral went into the Bronzeback, and then needing the Wold Warden as well to finish him off. The dice weren't kind of me at all, but I don't know. That's how it is. Kruger moved up to toe in the zone, so I'd be able to dominate it. I'm still sitting there looking at the fact that he has deflection on himself, and I don't know. Sometimes I just cast spells just as cast spells. It's really a bad habit. I gotta get out of. He also feeded, so that's what those three rings were there for. I wasn't expecting them to do really any damage. I just wanted to kind of annoy him and to not to let him have as easy a time as he could. I wanted to try to create as many problems as possible. So if he needed to move around those beast handlers to help contest the zone, I wanted to make sure that it was annoying as possible. And in this game, I didn't think that the feat was going to do that much anyways. So I just kind of threw it out there. Yeah, that's really about it. The druids moved up. I tried to throw some force bolts to push back the gladiator and Mullet Karn as much as I could. I was hoping for some critical knockdowns, but I didn't really get any. And lastly, the gray unit of shifting stones, I had a problem with their placing. As you can see, they're kind of in a triangulated area, and the one in the center, I really should have moved backwards so it was closer to the Wold Guardian, to the Wold Warden. So that way it would have been much more of a problem for the gladiator to get into the Wold Warden. As it is right now, there's a nice little open spot that the gladiator could stop in. And I really should have moved those shifting stones differently so he wouldn't be able to stop there. It probably would have saved my Wold Warden. Who knows? But anyways, so now we'll go on to Skorne turn 3, and I did dominate the zone here, so I do have 2 control points at this point. And as you can see, the Skorne offensive was brutal, to say the least. The Titan Gladiator did kind of trample his way up to the Wold Warden and beat him down severely. Morghoul kind of walked up, did his little dance of death, killing some. I believe he killed a druid, helped finish off, I believe, a shifting stone or two, and kind of killed some blood trackers as well. Mullet Karn charged the Feral Wolf, ended up killing that pretty easily. But it ended up missing one of his attacks that would have granted him an extra sidestep so he could start swinging at Kruger. I believe that the extra attack that he missed was on the Blood Tracker. So he kind of had to stop his activation there, which I was very thankful for. Because at the time, the Wold Warden was dead, the Feral was dead, so I had no transfers whatsoever. So I purely would have been relying on Kruger's defense of 17, I believe at that point, was Skyborn up. So it would have been very risky. But I'm sure with all the rerolls and crazy shenanigans that Mullet Karn gets, I'm sure Kruger would have been a dead man. So thank God for that occasional double ones that would show up. So we go into Circle turn 4. And this picture is actually kind of halfway through my turn. As you can see, not a lot of stuff moved up because the tournament organizer came over and let us know that the game was over. That the time for the round was up, and we kind of had to end it. But all I really was able to do was start to move the druids over. I kind of was thinking of how I wanted to get Morghoul, because I mean I had an opportunity to get him, so I really had to take that chance. Um, I think the idea of what I was going to do was to put some force bolts into Morghoul, try to knock him down. Then the Overseer would have thrown up elemental protection onto the druids, while trying to move one druid literally right next to Morghoul. And then Kruger would have walked up, would have put lightning tendrils on himself, and then just started like stabbing a druid in the back, getting the electro leaps into Morghoul so that they would be automatically hitting. And I figured enough POW 10s would have done it and killed him, while keeping the druid alive, being that they were immune to lightning, and the lightning tendrils wouldn't have done anything to him. But time was called before I could do anything like that. We were kind of having a discussion as to what different ways Morghoul could have died. There were some discussions about having the one shifting stone that was left teleport next to Morghoul, and I could have done the same thing on the shifting stone. Regardless, Morghoul was pretty much dead at that point. So that was the end of the game for game 2. I ended up winning 2 control points to 0. We're onto the final game. At this point, there was myself and one other person who was at 2 wins and 0 losses. Everybody else in the field was at 1 win and 1 loss. So the next game is actually the finals for everything. So I will talk to you guys in.